Hi, I'm Wrabel. You can check out my interview on CreativeDisc.com, the #1 music website in Indonesia.
Hey, hello, Rebel.
Hello, how's it going?
Fine in here. So, how's time in yours place right now?
Sorry, the
Okay.
dawn just
What's
started going.
time?
It is 10:38. I'm in North Carolina. I'm on the East Coast, and it is almost 11 a.m.
Whoa, in Indonesia is like a 9 p.m. right now.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
I'll say good night after this.
Okay. And I say good afternoon after this, right?
Right.
So, how are you today, Rebel?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Yeah, I'm out in the mountains on a lake in North Carolina with my whole family,
Mm.
my brother, the kids, like everybody's here. So it's been a it's been a nice time.
Oh, that's nice for you. So, tell us more about your newest single called "Nothing But the Love."
Yeah, that song. It's the only song I've ever released that I wrote by myself, which is so wild. To every time I say it out loud, I'm like, really? It's I was sitting with. I've been working on my debut record for a long time, like almost 10 years, and so I, as I was listening to it last year, and really having a lot of time to sit with the record and see what it is. The biggest thing that was missing was a love song, and I'm in love, and I wanted to share that, and I wanted to have, how could I put out a first record that doesn't celebrate that? And so I was sitting on my couch, and I just started it on my guitar. And I remember the night I started it, I sent a little voice note to my manager, and I was like, you know like, leave me alone, don't really respond to this unless you're going to say, like, this sounds great, because I'm in a flow right now. But I think this is something really special to me, and it was just really cool to have the space to kind of be by myself and write that song by myself.
So you say that your newest album is missing love songs. So what's basically your debut album will gonna be?
Yeah, it's turned into quite a hopeful record. The first time I made the record in the early 2010s, it was a breakup record. Every song was sad. It was miserable, and so now looking back on it, and having the time and space to really dive into it, and choose what stories I wanted to tell and what feelings I wanted to express. It's just turned into such a hopeful record about kind of overcoming a lot, and again celebrating love in a way that I don't know that I ever have.
Wow. So is it that you called this album "These Words Are for You"? Is it that's because of that reason?
Yeah, it's funny, the first time I made the record, it was called "These Words Are All for You." It's based on the last song on the record, which is called "Love Is Not a Simple Thing to Lose," which is quite a sad song. But in listening to the record, I was playing it for one of my best friends, and he was like, "I think you should call it this," and I was like, "That's really crazy because that's what it was, that's what it was called almost 10 years ago." And so keeping with that title and almost reframing it as, like, back then it was like, "These words are all for you," to this person who completely broke my heart and ripped it out of my chest.
Oh, that's why it's so personal to you, right? This debut
Right.
album.
Yeah. So there's still touches of that, and it's just really cool to kind of zoom out and see stories from so long ago, and then songs that I wrote 3 months ago.
That's why I think like in a past single for your debut album, I think you're taking a lot of soul and gospel influence in this album because it's very deep. I think like two previous single that I heard, it's very soul like song.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I started singing and playing piano in church, and I think that definitely inspired me a lot, and kind of
Great.
made my comfort zone. And I just love, even with good, like the last day before the pandemic lockdowns in LA, the last session I had was recording a gospel choir on Good, and just getting to witness that and like the emotion that's in their voices, like they were just incredible, and I love what that expresses, and the it's just this big sound, and it's and it can be this tiny sound, like oh, it's just like the whole day I was just like with like tears streaming down my face.
Because it sounds like, oh my god, you are so deep in this album, I think,
Yeah,
judging from your two previous singles.
yeah. Thank you. It's I put a lot of heart into this record.
Wow. So this is maybe like a question that been asked to you, like why it takes nearly 10 years to release your debut album.
I gotta go. No, it's I've been through I've been lucky enough to be signed on a few major labels.
Yes.
My first deal was with Island Def Jam, and we put
Yes.
out a song called 10 Feet Tall that did really, really well,
Yes.
and I was making this record, and we just had to kind of fast track it and put out an EP so that there was music out there. When you're going on tour, it's hard to tour with one song release, because it's like
Yes.
then you're playing an hour of songs nobody knows.
It's like looping, right?
Yeah, I'm like, can I just play 10 Feet Tall like 10 times? And so we put out an EP, and then when we transitioned out of that deal and into a deal with Epic, a really similar thing happened, and I put out a song called 11 Blocks. It started doing really well, and we were like, we're going on tour, we need music out there. So we put out an EP, and so my dream from day one has been to put out a record, a full-length record that has room for a 7-minute sad song and a 2-minute long voice note, and all the stories and all the colors. So it I can't even put into words how much it means to me to actually be sitting here talking with you about a debut record that's actually factually coming out into the world.
So you want your debut album, it's not an instant process, right?
It's taken me a lot to get here, and being able to do this, I'm doing this independently. I made my own label. We partnered with Network, and that's given me so much freedom to do what I want to do. Again, with labels, it's a cliche kind of thing. You hear it a lot from artists of like, they were telling me what to do, and I didn't want to do that, and whatever. And I've had beautiful experiences with labels. I love and respect and appreciate everyone on the business side that I've worked with. I've worked with some beautiful people that helped guide me, helped shape me, helped me live life, and helped me be creative in the best way I could. And at the same time, there are a lot of opinions in those kind of situations where people are, I might want something, or I might not even know what I want. And that's a really dangerous thing, because then when somebody says, why don't you try this? You might try it, and somebody might love it, and you might think, that didn't feel right. And then all of a sudden it's like, now that's coming out. And you're like, well, hold on. I think that we need to just pause. And so being able to do this independently with people that I love and trust with my life, my managers, my publisher, and now working with Network, like, it's such a mutual trust where they're trusting me creatively to see everything through. I worked with one of my best friends called Stint, who executive produced the whole record, and I made this with my friends, like with people that I trust to say, hey, this song could be better, and I can actually hear that in a way that's productive, rather than someone on a conference call being like, I don't know about this one, and I'm like, whose voice is that?
So making this all independently is like a passion project for you, right?
Yeah, totally.
So you've been dubbed as one of prolific songwriter in the industry, because when I check Wikipedia, many of my favorite pop records were written by you.
Oh wow, thank you so much.
Yes, especially I didn't expect like you write for Backstreet Boys "Don't Go Breaking My Heart." It's my
Yeah,
favorite pop records. Like,
thank you so much.
wow, that's so fresh. Hearing sounds from a boy band who's aging and still sounds fresh. And I thought that whose writing is this? Oh, it's you. Wow. Okay. I kind of
Thank
like
you, thank you.
amazing of it. So, what's the difference between writing your own songs and other artist song?
That's a very, very good question, and one that is hard to answer all the time. Um, Even that song, like if I use that song as an example, I wrote that song kind of for me. We were writing in that in the day, and the kind of the session was set up to write, and
Huh?
and I wrote that from my own perspective, and with Jamie Hartman and Stuart Crichton, who are both incredible humans and incredible creators.
Hmm.
Um, and I was sitting with it, and I kept telling my manager, like, it feels too kind of poppy for me, and she's like, this song is a smash, like, you're crazy, like, this is a big record. And nobody says that about anything. I'm usually writing like the saddest piano song. So
Wow.
when I write a song like that and people are reacting, I'm like, really? Um, and fast forward, less than 2 months probably after we wrote it, I get an email that says the Backstreet Boys want to record this, and I was like, and that was before they had announced, like, kind of a comeback or kind of a new record or
Oh wow.
anything.
Okay. Okay.
So I
Okay.
was kind of like, are you serious? Um, and getting to, on that song, I didn't get to be in the studio with them, but hearing it back, I was just like, they're icons, like international. Like I couldn't believe that they're singing the words that we wrote. Like it was just really mind blowing. But it's forever. If I'm working with an artist,
Yes.
like in the room with Kesha, my goal is to be a passenger. Like she's driving the car, and I'm trying to help, her say what she wants to say, how she wants to say it. But she's such an inspiration to me as a friend and as a collaborator. Just how she creates is just like the most magical thing in the world. But if I'm with an artist, it's very much they're they're the one in the room with the microphone. They're the one that we're trying to help. If it's for pitch where you don't know what's going to happen, I'm usually writing for myself because I find that the best things that I love. Another song like that is Louis Tomlinson, "Don't Let It Break Your Heart." I love writing about hearts and how they break, but that was another song where I was writing from my perspective, and the people in the room were writing from their perspectives, and so you get that honesty, and you get something that really feels like it has weight and emotion to it because we're coming at it from a real place, and so then when it lands somewhere, it's that much more special because you get to then work with the artist. They tell you what it means to them, you tell them what it means to you, and it's this really cool process of like redefining the whole song of you're basically taking, it almost feels like a child, and handing it to someone and saying, please take care of this. And it's like, i hope I hope it works out, but yeah.
So that's an interesting a perspective from you
Yeah,
because I didn't expect like "Don't Go Breaking My Heart" is first of the sad song, right?
right,
Okay, that's a mind blowing fact for me
yeah.
today. So, on your opinion as a pop songwriter, what's the definition of a pop records?
I wish I knew because maybe I don't know, write more of them. Um, for me, I think I I don't know that I define myself. I take it as a massive compliment when you say
Ooh.
as a pop songwriter, because
Because you are writing so many great songs like I'm Galantis that you're singing True Feeling, it's my favorite
yeah.
too.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I think for me, again, a song comes from an honest place, and I love true things in a song, even true feelings. But within the pop songwriting world, sometimes it can feel, I don't view it as a competition really, but it can feel very competitive, and it can feel
Yes,
very
yes,
like,
yes.
who got the song, like who, and I I've learned what I'm good at and what I'm not good at, and so in the pop scheme, sometimes I get insecure of like, that person's gonna write it better than me. If you guys are looking for this, like I don't know how to do that, and it's accidental to me. I don't always know what pop music is. I don't know if anyone really does. I think you're just trying to make something that's memorable. To me, something that means something, and something that'll mean something to a 5-year-old and an 85-year-old, that they can all hear and feel in their own way connected to it, and can put a smile on their face or bring a tear to their eye. But something that feels like it says something. To me, that's what pop music is. Something that can connect kind of to anyone.
It's like a challenging, right? Making a pop records that sounds like you say that 5 years old and 80 years old will hear.
Right. And it's really, I think it's really difficult. Like I don't understand. There's some people that are so good at it, and I'm just like, how do you do that? Like all the time. Like it's usually an accident for me when some, like, Don't Go Breaking My Heart. Like we weren't sitting there being like, let's write a big pop record for the like poppiest pop boy band pop. It was just like, let's just write a song and see what happens. And then that song came out, and then fast forward to 6 months, it's on the radio with the Backstreet Boys. It's just like, what is going on?
But it turns out I'm pretty shocked with "Don't Go Breaking My Heart." I think it's like an honesty, like it's kind of heavy dim on that song
Yeah.
that you say that you put an honesty on a pop when writing a pop records, and wow, that's new insight for me.
Yeah, yeah. I always, I'm not always, my forte is definitely not writing something that's the catchiest song in the world, or
Ah.
like whatever,
Like
cuz
mega hit, it's gonna be a mega hit.
right. I don't know that I've ever left the studio being like, that is a smash. I'm usually like, that's really sweet, or like, this is really sad, or this is beautiful. I love when something is beautiful. But in a pop record, it's not very often where like the biggest song in the world, you're like, what a gorgeous song. It's usually like the beat is amazing, or
Yes, 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 yes. Or
so
maybe like this song, it speaks to me so much, right?
right, right.
Uh,
So it's really special to me, and again, it feels like an accident, like the best kind of accident when those somehow come together. And that song is a perfect example of like a song that I feel something from, and I think other people did too. But at the same time, it's catchy, and a 5-year-old loves it, and an 85-year-old, and the Backstreet Boys are freaking singing it. Are you kidding? Like, they're the best. I freak out. I was like, I want to join the band.
it's like surprise things for you to maybe like you've got the chance to write pop records, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you, thank you.
So you've got your international breakthrough when you are collaborate with many EDM artists such as Afrojack and Galantis. So yeah, that I said before, I really really like True Feeling. It's like
Thank
one of a
you.
kind of an EDM music, I think, because
Thank
it's
you.
like it's like maybe like but I noticed something when you sing EDM song, your vocal range sound different when you're singing EDM and your song. Like maybe like is it any reason?
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think I am so inspired by, textures and sounds, and chords. And so I think when I'm writing, if I'm writing with like a dance artist or something like that, the bed that we're writing on is different. And so I think I'm finding different melodies, and I'm finding, a lot of times it's like even like Marshmallow Rituals, like the highest song in the whole. I remember I had to sing that live with him at a venue
Ooh.
called Red Rocks, and I was like, this is so high. Like, how did I ever sing this song? Um, and with Galantis, I am so, we have we've worked together a bunch, and we have a great relationship, and I'm so inspired by them, and they're so artistic, and they're so creative, and they're so outside the box, and they create such a unique. And True Feeling was one song we got to write, with them all together in the room, because sometimes collaborations are like you just write a song and you send it to a DJ or something, and then they kind of mess with it. But with that one in particular, getting to be in the room with them and hearing the sounds that they're picking, it's kind of dictating then what I'm trying to write over that. So I think to your point, that's I never really even thought about that. So I appreciate that. I think it's really true. I think it's really true that it kind of, if I'm sitting at a piano, I'm going to write one type of song. If I'm hearing these sounds that I'm like, I don't even know what that sound is, like that's so cool, that's so beautiful, that's so wild, then I'm gonna write a different song.
Because when I heard your single, it's so deep. But when I heard True Feeling, is like you happy and you can sing the high notes. Like
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of high notes. I definitely love the falsetto.
Ooh. So I think when you are singing your own song, like it felt so more personal, right? Rather than when you're singing for others. Like maybe it's the reason your voice so deep when you are
Yeah, yeah.
singing your own song.
That's really interesting. I'm gonna be like, after this interview, I'm gonna be like listening to my songs like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's
because I
such
can
a
feel because I can feel that it's such more personal when you are
Yeah.
in this single and your collaboration like you are singing like happy song. It's very very different, right? I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's really interesting.
So like maybe like you have any thought about EDMC nowadays?
I I am so bad at listening to new music.
Ooh.
Because sometimes I get really in my head, I get kind of insecure of like, should I be doing this or should I be doing this or should I be doing this? I love EDM as a genre, for the transformation, especially when it's a song that I've written that then gets taken on and reimagined. Like Afrojack, he heard 10 Feet Tall. It was piano, it was slow. Like he described when we met, he had described that when he heard it, he actually heard the version that ended up being our collaboration. He heard that in his
Wow.
head. Like he was hearing it faster. He was hearing a rise. He was hearing, this drop melody, and that to me was like so inspiring to I can't relate to, I can imagine like when I write a song, sometimes I'll hear the production or I'll hear like, okay, the drum beat is going to kind of be like this, or there's going to be strings here and maybe, but to hear him describe that feeling was so cool. And I think I love collaborating with EDM artists because you get to make, we get to make stuff that I don't know how to make on my own. And I don't, it's outside of my world, and I have, it's definitely a comfort zone of mine now because I've been able to do. I'm so thankful to be able to do so much of it. But I always love it. I love the energy of it. Going to the shows and seeing people that are just so happy and celebrating life and celebrating love and getting a little wild, like that's such a contrast to like my shows where everyone's like crying and it's like so I think for me, like I always love EDM music as kind of an escape of and a celebration of life and of happiness and of togetherness, and that's really, so I don't know necessarily like what the new cool thing is, but just as a genre as a whole, I really love it. I love it.
So do you have many favorite records that you love the most?
Um, of mine or just in general?
On other
On just
artists
yeah, yeah.
that influence you so much?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Paul Simon is
Oh
is
wow.
would definitely like one of my favorite artists
Which
ever.
one? Which
Uh,
album do you like?
I mean, Graceland is so incredible. The
Ah,
sounds and just like it's just amazing. And I
yes,
love his storytelling,
yes,
like the way
yes.
that he tells the story and the way that the words like roll out of his mouth. It's just like it's incredible. It's so cool. There's an artist called Aqualung. Um,
I know Akuang. I know.
Yeah, so
Yes.
his record called Strange and Beautiful really inspired me a ton.
Wow, I like that too.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yes, yes,
And
yes,
he's
yes. Like
such a nice guy. We've been able to work together. I cried The first time I ever went to his house when he lived in California, I went there for a writing session and I rang the doorbell. And as he started opening the door, I just started crying. And he's like, "What's going
Like you are
on?"
like you are a starstruck, right?
I was completely starstruck. And he was like, he's so sweet and kind of self deprecating. And I was just like, I have to say this because otherwise I won't be able to focus for the whole day. Like, I wouldn't be making music without you. Like if I hadn't heard your record, and I know every song of his, I know every lyric. I've been to like any time he played in LA, I went and like that's a big one for me. I love an artist called Bruce Hornsby.
Ooh.
Uh, Kate Bush is
Wow. Which
incredible.
album Kate Bush that you like?
Kate Bush, this okay. So this woman's work, the song, I actually came out to that song. That was like
Ooh.
playing on repeat. So that has like, and I love. She's just so out of the box, and the production and the sounds and her voice, how percussive and how like operatic, and it goes huge and it's tiny and it's like
Yes,
that is
yes,
really
yes.
that's really cool.
It's like theatrical, right?
Really, really cool.
So, with more than 10 years in the music industry, what's the biggest lesson that you want to share with our audience who want to take a career in music industry? Because you've got 10 years on your own, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's I always I always believe in being yourself. I think that the beautiful thing about artists and kind of one of the biggest reasons why, like before I said, I don't view things as a competition is because we're all different. Every artist has their own perspective. Every artist has their own life that they're pulling from. So no two artists are the same. Even when there's people say, "Oh, this that voice kind of reminds me of this voice," or that, we're inspired by, everything. We're constantly pulling from, but what the lyrics are coming from and what the melodies are coming from is so unique to us. And so if I had any advice, I think it would be yourself. Don't look around too much. Don't let what that person's doing affect what you're doing, because it's really easy. I still to this day, after over 10 years doing this, sometimes if I hear a new song or you see the song that's just climbing up the charts and you're like, should I do something like that? And usually the answer is no, because
Okay.
also that's been done now and that was that artist. And so I have learned to just celebrate that artist, be like, that is awesome, like you go, and to double down on what I what I do and how do I see this. And five artists could all write a breakup song. They're all going to be different. One person's going to be dancing because they're broken up. One person's going to be crying forever. One person's going to the song's going to be about meeting the next person. Like it's all perspective. And so I think if you're an artist, if you're a producer, stay true to your sound. Create a sound that feels like you, because that's really, it's unique to you. Your creation is unique to you. And I think it's too easy when you're in the industry. It's really easy to forget that and to try to jump on a trend or, a cool new sound or whatever it is. And it's like, I've learned to just kind of put a bubble around me and be like, this is what I'm doing.
That's a great mindset. Wow.
Thank you. It's hard.
Yes, I know because in the noisy current of pop music, you've got this mindset and you keep that on 10 years. Wow. Salute. I'm saluting
Thank you.
you
Thank you.
to have
Thank
myself.
you.
I'm right now. I'm chilling right now. My hands is like,
Oh, thank you.
oh my
Thank you.
God, hearing your words. Oh, thank you so much. Okay, last question. Mention five things we didn't know about Rebel.
Five things you don't know. I have a very cute dog named Super, who's right here.
Ooh, hi.
He is the love of my life. That's one. Two, I went to music college for one semester and I dropped out. um, I, let's see. I wrote my first professional endeavor was I wrote the theme song for a game show called Minute to Win It. That
Wow.
was
Oh, I always watching that in
Yeah,
TV. Like,
so if you hear the
like that
"Let's
song.
go
Yes,
everybody,"
yes, indeed. Oh
that's
my god.
me.
What?
And I have literally like barely told anyone about that. But that was like my first song that like made money. I got my own apartment for the first time. It's so weird.
It's your biggest break, I think.
Yeah, it was like my breakout. Um, what else? What else? What else? What is that? 3?
3.
What else don't I feel like I pretty much tell everyone everything about me, so it's kind of like what else? My favorite color is purple.
Ooh, okay. And the last thing is,
And the last thing is oh, why is this so hard? The last thing I have like 32 tattoos. I don't
wow,
know. I
that's
guess like kind of people know that if you look at my pictures, but I don't know what happened. Now I have one for every year I've been alive.